This is Prime Minister Modi's fourth visit to the UK, and we just saw the visuals of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi meeting UK PM Keir Starmer. Remember, this is a very, very crucial visit that the Prime Minister is undertaking. He's on a two-day visit to the UK. The key focus of this visit will be the formal signing of the India-UK Free Trade Agreement. He is also expected to meet possibly meet King Charles. Lavina Tandon joins me on the phone line on this. Lavina, the two prime ministers have met. The visuals are here of the two prime ministers meeting. What more do we know? What has been discussed? What are we expecting today?
What we are expecting is that now they will go on and have their bilateral talks on the strategic partnership that's on various things like health, education, and many other tech, terrorism, support in counterterrorism, supporting intel. All of those bilaterals will be taken stock of. That is the first prime thing. And of course, then towards the afternoon, we are looking at the signing of the FTA, which holds a great value for Britain as I speak. Just now, the two things that are of prime importance for Britain as an export to India, one is Scotch whisky and the car. The car industry in India is at its lowest. And so this deal is being sold as a very, very important and strategic deal that Britain is making with India, the biggest till now. They have done it with Australia, they've done it with New Zealand, but it is this deal that is the biggest and feeds into the global Britain post-Brexit scenario. So that's the most important thing. And of course, then Prime Minister Modi is going to be meeting King Charles III in his, not in London, but just outside. And then he heads off to Maldives. But if you have more questions, I would love to tell you a bit more about how this FTA holds significance for the United Kingdom.
Well, yes, Lavina, please please explain for our viewers. This is a very, very crucial visit. The free FTA is on the cards. We are talking about India-UK comprehensive strategic partnership also that may be discussed. We're also looking at not just economic ties, but also defense, innovation, tech, research, etc. What more do we know, Lavina?
Yes, these two words can I just say for this trip. One is turbocharging the economy through FTA and taking stock of what is happening in the strategic partnership, as you mentioned. Now, there are lots of nitty-gritties in that. One being that they're pushing for education. India is a big market for education. Southampton happens to be the first university that has opened its campus in India, and more such are going to happen. So this is what is coming off the comprehensive strategic stock taking. And with Prime Minister Modi, there are a lot of bigwigs, industrialists and businessmen from India and from here who would be holding sidelined talks on taking stock, how to take these partnership and strengthening it more, and for both the economies to benefit. So that happens on the strategic partnership side. As with regards to the FTA, it is a very huge topic here in the United Kingdom because this, as I mentioned, is the biggest deal. It is expected to boost the economy by £4.8 billion year to year over a period of a few decades till 2035. It is also going to be an injection of 6 billion, as the British government is saying, also impetus to a lot of jobs. And I'll tell you how it really means for a layman perspective. For example, India, interestingly, surpassed France to be the biggest importer of Scotch whisky. Just the Scotch whisky is going to make a huge difference to the United Kingdom. They have pushed for the tariffs to be brought down from 150% to 75% in the recent times, and then 40%, and the interest, the tariff will go down to 0%. Now, this is where the biggest job impetus comes to the UK. It is estimated 2,200 kind of jobs. So that is in Scotland and in Midlands, much required, because job concentration here in the United Kingdom is very much in London, and they want to diversify. So this industry helps them sell that dream as well. Now,
Lavina, could you tell us a little more about how this free trade agreement will also help India? You're talking about the boost in jobs, the boost in economy of the UK. But how does this FTA benefit India, since we are talking about boosting the trade volume by almost doubling the trade volume?
Yes, exactly. So talking about India, what India gets is a huge value market. If Britain gets a bigger market, they get a bigger value here in the United Kingdom. India is going to get 90%, tariffs will fall down by 99% on food, on gems, on tech, on electric cars. So these are the things that in textiles, very, very important textiles. So for people living here and footwear, gems, textiles and food. These are very, very important industries that we'll see coming.
Lavina, I'm going to have to ask you to hold on for 1 minute, one moment. I'm also being joined by Pranay on this. Pranay, a big development. The Prime Minister is meeting the UK PM. He's also expected to meet with the King. The biggest, of course, being the free trade agreement. What more do we know about this agreement? How will it benefit India? Pranay.
Definitely, it is going to impact and benefit India in an Indian economy in a big way. Just to give an example of it, India has a 7,500 kilometer of coastline, and many states, including Gujarat to West Bengal, to Andhra Pradesh, to Kerala, to Tamil Nadu, are the coastal states of India. And all these coastal states, and especially the Indian fishery sector, will get market access of $5.2 billion in UK. The agrarian products, as well as the Indian products in terms of the textile, the gems, jewelry, leather, all these products will get greater market access in the UK economy. UK is a big economy. UK is a better and a bigger market for India. And that's why, if you see the potential of it, many of Indian products which used to face around 70% of tariffs in UK market will now be reduced to less than 7% or maybe in zero in many of the cases, around 99%. As Lavina was also mentioning, around 99% of the tariff lines will be made zero. So this is definitely in terms of the greater market access and a wider market access. This will be the benefit for India. But on the other side, Anisha, I must also highlight the fact that India has managed to safeguard the interest in terms of the agri products, especially safeguarding the interest of Indian oilseed producers and the dairy produce from India, because India, that is India's core concern, and that's why in the long negotiations spanning over 3.5 years, India has managed to safeguard the interest for the domestic dairy producers, the domestic agri produce, especially in terms of the oil seeds. So that is the benefit for India. On the other side, for the service sector as well, be it yoga teacher or be it a chef or be it Indian professionals will get not only better opportunities, even if someone want to offer services in the UK market, they will also get a greater and a better access for the UK market after this FTA. Besides that, the double taxation avoidance has also been enshrined in this FTA. So these are the important pillars of this FTA, and that is going to benefit. And the larger volume which has been decided to double up the trade between India and UK. The current bilateral trade between 2023 and 24 was around $55 billion. And the ambitious target is to more than double it by $120 billion by 2030. So this is the target and volume which we are looking at.
All right, thank you for that, Pranay. Stay on with me. We are going to be talking about this important free trade agreement, and we're talking about what the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the UK for. Let's take a look at what the India-UK trade deal could bring for India. First of all, it could eliminate 99% of the tariffs on Indian goods that are entering the UK. It effectively covers the entire bilateral trade value. Remember, this is going to be a huge boost to the economy for both countries, as India is also going to cut duties on 90% of British products. 85% of British products to be tariff-free in 10 years. That is the big takeaway here, as both the countries are talking about boosting each other's economy. Pranay, of course, is with me on this story. Pranay, what more are we expecting from both this FTA and further negotiations as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the UK?
Anisha, when this news came that India and UK has finalized, many people are still, they have delayed their car purchase because after this FTA, the UK cars and various car models will get, entry into Indian market with lesser tariffs. So that is the thing. As far as the whiskey consumption is concerned, India has already outpassed France, as Lavina was also mentioning, in terms of the liquor consumption and, the British liquor, or especially the whiskey. The Scotch and whiskey will get a greater access in Indian market, so that is also a gain for UK. India and UK are like two big economies, but in terms of the market access, if you see, India is a bigger market for UK. And recently, when the British High Commissioner was visiting our office, she categorically mentioned the point, Anisha, that UK want to invest in India because India is a rising economy, and this is the right time to invest in India and to remain invested in India with the pace and trajectory of Indian economy. So definitely it's a win-win situation. It's a gain for both the economies. But not only that, Prime Minister Modi's visit is not only restricted to signing of this FTA, Anisha. This is a time when Prime Minister Modi will be having this bilateral conversation with his British counterpart, Keir Starmer.
All right.
All the other issues of the bilateral relationship.
All right, Pranay, we will keep talking about this. It is going to be a big boost to both economies and possibly a big win for those who like UK-based cars and, more importantly, Scotch whisky. But it's time now for us to take a very short break. More news and updates will continue on the other side. We will be keeping an eye on Namaste UK.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
How is he always winning?
Gotta have some spin, never bending, dripping in, dripping like so clean.
Moto G96 5G.
All eyes on you.
Hello, Moto.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Welcome to India Today. I'm Anjali Istiwal, and we begin this bulletin with the biggest news of this hour, and that is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in London and he has met with his counterpart, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This visit is very important and holds special significance for both the countries, not just India but also for UK. It is extremely important for the economies of the two countries, and not just that, also strategic partnership between the two countries is on agenda. The visuals that you're seeing on your screen right now are of Prime Minister Modi meeting with UK PM Keir Starmer, and also of Prime Minister Modi being welcomed by the Indian diaspora when he landed over there, and his welcome as he touched down in London. Now, for more on this, I'm joined by Pranay Upadhyay, who's the editor of India Today Global. Pranay, this is an extremely important visit. Although Prime Minister Modi has been to London 4 times, I think this is the 4th visit, but not only the FTA, which we are all talking about, but also the strategic partnership, the UK-India vision that they are going to talk about.
Definitely, Anjali. During Prime Minister Narendra Modi's this fourth visit, as you rightly pointed out, the entire gamut of bilateral relationship will be reviewed and being expanded after the talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This is a time when the British government has decided to invest more in Indian economy. Recently, when we had British High Commissioner visiting our office, she categorically mentioned the point that Britain want to invest in India because India is a fastly rising and moving economy. India has already surpassed the Britain in terms of the size of GDP, and that's why this is the time when UK want to invest in India. But besides that, as you rightly pointed out, the entire gamut of relationship will not only be reviewed but strategically enhanced, strategically expanded to in terms of the technology and security initiative, which was launched last year. Both the Prime Minister will be reviewing it, where the possibilities of co-development is there, where the possibility of joint research is there, co-production is there. We know that the UK is a developed economy. This is the first FTA, Anjali, India is entering into any G7 country. And also, this is also very important for UK because post-Brexit, like post-2016, this is the first big economic agenda UK is pursuing with any other country. And that too, India. UK will get a greater market access. Likewise, the Indian products, especially the labor-intensive products, will get greater and a bigger and a wider market access in UK in terms of the opportunities there. Let me give you an example that around 5.2 billion is the marine product market in UK. And India is only being able to use say about 1.2% of it. But now the tariff lines will be reduced to zero, which were earlier around 20%. So after that, many coastal states of India, be it Gujarat, be it Maharashtra, be it Kerala, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, all these states will get better opportunity. Especially the fishery sector, the fishermen of India will get a greater market access in UK. Also, not only in terms of the products, Anjali, but the services sector will also get benefited out of it. Many service professionals, be it yoga teacher to a chef, to any other professional who want to give services in UK market will get a better access and better opportunity, and also the avoidance of the double taxation. Yes,
Pranay, I want to look at this entire signing of the FTA from another lens as well. And that is the tariff fight that is currently going on between Europe and America and India. In times like these, when America has such a staunch attitude and a rigid attitude towards trade, countries which could be markets for each other, producers for each other, manufacturers for each other, building trade agreements and ties, how important is that?
You raise a very pertinent point here, Anjali. I must say that because post-COVID, if you see, the logistics supply chains or the multilateralism, multipolarity is the reality of the world. Now everyone is trying to diversify the supply chain. Now everyone is talking about the self-sufficiency in certain products, but also making strategic links and diversifying the trade basket, because you can't be relying on one market for all your trades and all your exports. And that's why if you see, the Europe want to explore the bigger and the wider markets. We know that European economy is quite sluggish. They want impetus. They want to infuse new energy in terms of the jobs, because if you see the trajectory of the UK market, for many years, say about like 3-4 years, 5 years, there has not been the job expansion or salary raises, and that remains a cause of concern for the UK economy, because if you do not get good raise, if you do not get good job opportunities, it actually leaves an impact on the wider economic spectrum of any country for that matter. And that this is an effort by the UK government and the UK economy to invest in India, which is a fastly growing economy. If you see the trajectory of Indian economy, it's very promising market post-COVID, and we have maintained the trajectory of our economy, and that's why the UK want to invest more in India. While UK is entering into an FTA, India is also negotiating a wider free trade agreement with the European Union at large. So on one side, EU is also having a FTA negotiations with India. UK is the first country from Europe to conclude an FTA with India, so they might have an early bird advantage with India, and India will get a greater and a bigger market access as far as its products are concerned in Europe at large.
Right. And also, if we talk about the reduction of tariffs for the UK companies, this is going to be a huge deal. You were just talking about the UK-made automobiles, but also medical equipment. And we all know India is a big medical market. We have a huge sector, which is the medical sector, where these machines are used, and this is going to benefit the larger spectrum also. People who want to buy the machines for the hospitals and the people who will benefit. They might be diagnostic tools or any other kind of machines.
Indeed, Anjali, engineering sector, especially the engineering goods export, is a big market and a big area for India. And if you see the kind of access India was getting before this FTA was much lesser, maybe in terms of the for the tariffs, or maybe in terms of the market access in UK. But now it's a huge market for Indian Indian manufacturers, Indian producers of the engineering goods, and that's why after this FTA, the Indian products will get a bigger and a market access, not in terms of the engineering goods, but even all the agriculture engineering products, the product engineering goods and products which are used in terms of for the usage of the agrarian products and agrarian works. So this, in terms of the bilateral trade, this is going to boost the bilateral trade. If we talk in terms of the volume, Anjali, the current bilateral trade figure between India and UK is around $55 billion. But the very ambitious target after this FTA would be around $120 billion by 2030.
Okay, so that's a huge number. Thank you very much, Pranay, for all those details. So, Prime Minister Modi is in UK. He's met with his counterpart, and we are hoping that the deal will be signed soon, which is going to benefit both the countries. And now we bring you a big news from Karnataka. It seems Karnataka is imposing another government tax. This time, this tax is on high-rise buildings. These high-rise buildings in Karnataka will have to pay 1% fire safety cess. Do remember that Karnataka has a multitude of private builders who make these huge high-rise buildings. They have these commercial buildings as well as residential buildings which are multi-storied. Now the Karnataka government is saying that you will have to pay 1% fire safety cess. So this is another tax after a flooding of taxes. For more on this, I'm joined by Sagay Raj from Bengaluru. Sagay, although we have seen some more taxes coming in and this 1% cess is added to that burden, but Karnataka does, especially Bengaluru, has a lot of high-rise buildings and fire safety can be an issue in these buildings. So do tell us, how much of a burden is it going to be on the people and how important is this cess collection for the government?
And the government says that they haven't increased for a long time, and now it is high time that they go ahead and increase this particular 1% cess on all those high-story building. And if you notice that whoever falls under Fire Act, the Fire Service Act, so only those buildings have to pay. So for an example, if it is a small building, when you don't require all these fire services, you need not pay this fire service tax. And the high-story building which have to follow the guidelines, which have to go ahead and implement fire services, they have to pay the tax. For an example, if you are paying 100 rupees, now you need to pay 101 rupees, just for an example. So probably it all depends upon the fire taxes which has been imposed on buildings, because it differs from one building to another building. The kind of the stories they have, for an example, if there is 20 multi-stories, it's a different price. It is more than that, it will be a different price. So it all depends from one building to another. The government has increased 1% of fire service tax.
Right. Thank you, Sergey. Do stay on with us because we have another big news coming in from Karnataka itself. Now, this is concerning the stampede that happened in Bengaluru. Now, the Karnataka Chief Minister has decided to take action against RCB, which is the IPL franchise, Royal Challengers Bengaluru, and also the Karnataka State Cricket Body and DNA as well, which was the party which was responsible for arranging that event. RCB organizers, that is the DNA, they will all face the Chief Minister's and the government's wrath. Earlier, the government had blamed Virat Kohli as well for the stampede by saying that he had tweeted and urged people to come because it was free entry, as he put out. Now, the government has decided to take action against RCB and the cricket body. And there is a big breaking news coming in, as we were telling you earlier, about the UK free trade deal. So India and UK have signed this deal. Right now we're getting this information. India and UK have signed on this deal. This is the largest agreement Britain has signed since leaving the European Union, which is Brexit. So now we know for a fact that this deal has been inked. It's going to benefit both the countries mutually, not just India, but also UK. UK also stands to gain a lot from this deal. India, of course, will get some products from UK, which were earlier on a very high duty scale. Tariffs are being cut down for the UK companies, and India also gets access to markets in UK. And also, importantly, this is almost $34 billion deal. How is it going to impact the relationship between the two countries? How is it going to impact the trade in the two countries? How is it going to impact the economies of the two countries? This is something which is very important. It is a historic trade deal. India and UK, after the meeting of the two prime ministers, and the visuals, as you see on your screens, were released to the media. After this meeting, India and UK have signed on the free trade agreement as was expected. In fact, this was the single most key element of this visit that the Prime Minister has undertaken while the monsoon session is undergoing. He has undertaken this two-nation tour, of which first is UK, the second is Maldives. But this was the single most important thing that was on the agenda. After this, he will be meeting with the monarch, that is the King Charles III. He will have a meeting with him. But before that, the pact between India and UK has been signed. There are multiple things that come into this ambit. Firstly, let's talk about the UK industry. Well, in terms of the UK industry, they're going to benefit quite a bit because a lot of things which were taxed in double digits are now down to single digits, something like the automobiles. In fact, there were reports in multiple newspapers that said that many people who were planning to buy the luxury vehicles that come from UK, the super luxury vehicles, have put their buying on hold because this is going to significantly impact this. Remember, if a car is worth crores, then a reduction in the duty from, let's say, 15% to 3% means a huge amount. So currently what we know is that the deal has been signed. It is involving a multitude of sectors between India and UK, and we will be bringing you more details of this deal in a few moments from now. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more about what is happening between India and UK. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister, the two Prime Ministers of the two countries. We see the visuals of them meeting, and then afterwards we have received this news that yes, the deal has been signed. Joining me now is editor of India Today Global, Pranay Upadhyay. Pranay, finally the historic deal has been signed. Do tell our viewers point by point, how is it going to impact the two countries and especially India?
Definitely, you rightly use the word of this deal being very historic indeed, Anjali, because these visuals will remain in the history because India and the United Kingdom, because we have a colonial past, we have a history of the trade relationship, and India has a very bitter past of dealing in terms of business with the United Kingdom in past. But now it was UK who wanted to deal to have this FTA with India, which is a growing and a fastly moving, rapidly growing economy, and UK and India negotiated this deal over the course of 3 years, and now finally the moment has come. This historic visuals of Chequers House, which is the country residence of for British Prime Minister, their Prime Minister Narendra Modi and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer had a meeting, and after that the Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal along with his British counterpart Mr. Raymond signed this FTA, and now this FTA will have to be ratified by the British Parliament, because that is the constitutional requirement in UK. So this enforcement of this FTA might take some time, but now the legal provision of an FTA is there. And let me take you through the various sectors which will get benefited, especially in terms of the Indian economy. So the biggest beneficiary of it would be the textile sector. You know that India's textile sector is a huge sector, and which accounts for around 1,143 tariff lines, and which contributes around 11.77%. And this textile sector will now get the zero tariff duty in UK market. Besides that, in terms of the leather and footwear products, that will also get a zero excess. Most of the 99.7% of the tariff lines are covered under this FTA, Anjali, and from 70%, the highest tariff for any Indian product, which was reduced after this, which get reduced after this FTA, will be from 70% to 0%. So you can imagine, what greater access, what wider access will be available for Indian products in the UK market after this FTA. So one can make out, besides that, the agriculture product, the zero duty market access will be there for the Indian spices. India is a great and a big producer of spices. So Indian turmeric, Indian cumin, and Indian products, Indian agri, especially the spices, will get a better and a greater access in UK market. Besides that, Indian food processing industry will also be a big beneficiary after this FTA in terms of the market access in UK. UK is one of the large economies, one of the prominent G7 economies, and also let me also make this point here, Anjali. As we were discussing, that India has also managed to safeguard the interest of the agri products, especially in terms of the dairy, especially in terms of the oil seed, because India did not have to reduce the tariff lines for the UK products. So that remains our core concern. That is a win for India in terms of getting a better and a greater market access in UK and safeguarding the own products as well.
Also keeping in mind that that is one point where India is facing major pressure from America as far as the trade deal is concerned. Do stay on with us, Pranay. Chetan Bhutani from the Business Today also joins us. Chetan, thank you very much. Firstly, do try and explain to us, why is this deal good for the common Indian? How is it going to benefit me?
Very appropriate question at the right time. In fact, to inform our viewers, we are expecting the formal statement to come from both India and the UK sides at 1 p.m. London time. That would be approximately about 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the evening. We are expecting the formal statement and the details along with the annexures to come out. But yes, how does it impact the common man? To answer your question, how does it impact you and me when we expect the England-made cars to become a whole lot cheaper in India? Remember, India's import duty on import of cars amounts to nearly about 100%, but now we would get England-made, UK-made cars very substantially cheap. We would have a 10% duty only under special arrangements, wherein the car manufacturers would be allowed to be importing certain number of vehicles and models as per the requirements. However, for the alcohol and the beverage industry, it's a very big win. We will expect Scotland-based, England-based whiskies, gin to become a whole lot cheaper in the country. In fact, for malt-based whiskies as well, we expect a big market to open up for the Indian market as well. As far as the UK is concerned, India would be definitely be investing more and more of farm goods and equipment in England, as vis-a-vis we will expect more and more of F&B industry and the dairy industry to open up in India as well.
Okay, Pranay, with this kind of deal now going through between India and UK, where as Chetan pointed out, the automobiles were on agenda, and also the whiskey was on agenda. And why I'm bringing this up is because I'm going to contrast this with America now. So let's talk diplomatically. America also pushes its bourbon. It's been pushing its whiskey onto Europe as well. So now, how is it going to work for India and America deal? Because this will become optics for that as well.
Definitely, Manjari, this will become a template for the future negotiations. India is already negotiating a free trade agreement with the European Union. Even this will have a bearing and an impact with the bilateral trade agreement negotiations with the United States, because we are quite close in that, but we haven't sealed that arrangement as yet. The negotiations are still in a very advanced stage. So this will work as a template, because India will say that ultimately any trade agreement or any trade arrangement works on the market forces, on availability and on the supply lines. If India is getting a cheaper and a better product from the UK market, then obviously that product will prevail over any other US product. So now US also has to understand the dynamics, because ultimately India is a big market in terms of the population, in terms of the purchasing power. So that's why US also want better and a greater access in Indian market, and that is the reason why why President Donald Trump is insisting on the tariff lines, because he want to exercise that power, as Chetan was also pointing it out, in terms of the benefit India is going to get after this India-UK FTA. This clearly shows that how India is now asserting the power of being a big market, a big economy, and how we are able to establish that now country want to deal with India. We know that earlier EU stalled the negotiations with India. Our experience with FTA has not been very good so far, because we had an FTA with ASEAN. That was the first region with which we have FTA, but the service sector was not included in it. We ended up opening our market for the ASEAN products, especially the ASEAN goods. But now with this thing, the service and the goods sector both have been balanced. India has over 60% of the service sector in the part of our economy. So our service sector will also get greatly benefited out of this FTA, Anjali.
Right, absolutely. And India is one of the largest markets for any product. So definitely this is going to benefit the UK companies as well. But Chetan, if we talk about India's exports to UK, now one major thing that Pranay also picked up was textiles. And we have seen India, which was once a leader, has lost its space to Bangladesh. And, now with the tariffs being cut, of course, the UK citizens will have cheaper clothes to wear. But Indian brands, Indian manufacturers also, who are making for other brands as well, could also really benefit from this.
Well, absolutely. Pranay is absolutely right. In fact, when it comes to tariff elimination across export sectors, we'll see about 80 to 85% of Indian exports to the UK. Nearly all trade value will be almost duty-free. We'll be, in fact, more than textiles, we'll be also seeing movements and developments across leather sector, footwear, gems and jewelry, engineering goods, auto parts, toys, furniture, chemicals and marine products as well. Why is it good for the Indian manufacturing industry as well? Because Indian MSMEs, exporters, are set to gain strong price competitiveness, particularly in labor-intensive categories. And when FTAs are signed, they are actually expected to double the bilateral trade. So we are expecting, and government has in fact gone on record to say that the double trade treaty would in fact form about $120 billion by 2030, from currently $55 to $60 billion. In fact, lastly, I'll also like to highlight for our viewers that service access and professional mobility will also be impacted. We'll see Indian professional and IT sector, finance, education, and culinary arts and creative sectors open up greatly between both the countries. So yes, along with social security, service access, and of course tariff elimination, this is a win-win situation for both the countries.
Right, absolutely. And joining us now also is Surbhi from Business Today. Thank you very much, Surbhi. We've been talking about the benefits of this FTA for both countries, but I also want to bring in another sector which is very important for the youth of today, and that is education. And we have recently seen one of the universities opening up its campus in India, a UK university, and the MEA had also mentioned that that is one pillar that will be discussed between the two countries. So what are the sectors that will get impacted, which will benefit socially also as far as the larger population is concerned?
So we are still waiting for the text of the treaty, but yes, from the conclusion of the talks on May 6, what we have seen is that it's obviously going to lead to greater mobility, especially for skilled professionals, as well as more flexibility for students who wish to study in the US, Indian students who wish to study in the UK. And of course, there is the social security angle where Indian skilled professionals who go to the UK, they will be exempt from paying social security there for a period of 3 years. But we are still waiting for the final text to be released.
All right, Surbhi. Are there any other sectors that you would like to mention that will impact Indians socially in terms of as you were mentioning, in terms of jobs, in terms of economic benefits?
Oh, yes. So this FTA is expected to give a lot of boost to Indian professionals who go to the UK for visas. Like, it can be anywhere from things like being a chef to a yoga teacher, any kind of skilled professional. However, we must remember that on the tricky issue of, law as well as CAs, which is chartered accountants, there has not been any, further movement in the FTA negotiations on that, and that had been kept aside. But for, yes, all other kinds of skilled professionals, whether IT sector professionals or, anyone else, this FTA is going to open up a lot of opportunities for them.
Right. Pranay continues to be with us. Pranay, our editor of India Today Global. Pranay, I'm going to come to you not to talk about the deal as such, but impact of the deal. This is the era of signing deals and tariffs. Everybody, now tariff is something which has become a common word people understand because of Trump or maybe other reasons. But do tell us the signing of this FTA between UK and India. Economies that are there on the top 5 chart. Do tell us how is it going to impact both the countries, and also how is it going to impact the relationship or the dynamics of the region, their particular region, each regions in total. I'm sorry.
Anjali, if you see post-COVID, there is a shift in the geopolitics in terms of the realignment, in terms of the multipolarity. We see that how countries are...
Please, I'd like to interrupt you. Sorry, we have Keir Starmer speaking here.
इसके साथ दोनों ही देशों को बहुत ही ज़्यादा आशाएं और बेनिफिट होंगी और दो देशों के लोग आपस में काम करके एक दूसरे के सहयोग करेंगे.
It is a deal that will bring huge benefits to both of our countries, boosting wages, raising living standards, and putting more money in the pockets of working people. It is good for jobs, it is good for business, cutting tariffs and making trade cheaper, quicker and easier.
और दोनों ही देश साथ में काम करके वेजेस बढ़ेंगी और वहाँ पे लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड भी बढ़ेंगी और लोगों के हिस्से में बहुत पैसे आएंगे और ये काम और व्यापार के लिए अच्छी होगी. वो टैरिफ काटने से ट्रेड सस्ता होगा और सहज होगा और सही होगा.
It is good for British workers in cutting-edge manufacturing, whisky distillers across Scotland, and the service sector in London, in Manchester and in Leeds.
और ये ब्रिटिश कामदारों के लिए बहुत अच्छी होगी वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में आगे बढ़ के जैसे विस्की डिस्टिलरी है स्कॉटलैंड में और लंदन में मैनचेस्टर और लीड्स में सर्विस सेक्टर है और जो लोग इसका उपयोग करते हैं यहाँ यूके में इंडियन सामान अच्छे दामों में मिलती है.
It is good for consumers because it will bring down prices on Indian goods in the United Kingdom, like clothes and shoes and food, and it will deliver benefits for the long term. It will add about £4.8 billion to the UK economy every year and £2.2 billion to wages and hundreds of millions of pounds to regions and nations up and down the United Kingdom.
और ये और यहाँ के कंज्यूमर के लिए बहुत अच्छा रहेगा और ये दोनों देशों में जो बातचीत होगी ट्रेड होगी जो बढ़ेगा.
Don't bother, we can use English word in between. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, His Excellency, I've lost the speech. His Excellency, I've lost the speech.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Sorry, do you want me to repeat?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I think we understand each other well. I mean, look, and we both know this is the biggest and most economically significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. And I think I can say that it's one of the most comprehensive deals that India has ever done. So thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership and for your pragmatism. And I'd like to thank everybody who's worked so hard to get this deal over the line.
और आज ये जो बहुत बड़ी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव डील तैयार की है और कामयाब की है, उसके लिए मैं आपको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कहना चाहता हूं प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब। और ये दोनों टीम जहां काम करके ये जो काम पूरा किया है, इसके लिए मैं बहुत खुशी हूं।
And you know, as I've said before, and as we were just discussing in our tete-a-tete, we've entered a new global era, and that is one that requires us to step up, not to stand aside, to deliver for the British people by building deeper partnerships and alliances. And today is very much confirmation of that approach.
और अभी वहाँ पे बात सब कर रहे थे आपके साथ बैठ के, हमने बातें की कि नई ग्लोबल इरा पैदा करनी है और इसके लिए हमको सब कुछ करना है जो हम सक्षम है, जिसके बाद ब्रिटिश लोगों को यहाँ पे बहुत ही बड़ी पार्टनरशिप मिलेगी आपके देश से, और यहाँ पे जो हम करने वाले हैं उससे दोनों देशों को फायदा होगा।
And the UK has been negotiating a deal like this for many years, but it is this government that got it done. And with it, we're sending a very powerful message that Britain is open for business. And that is already generating huge confidence. Today we're announcing nearly £6 billion in investment and export wins between India and the United Kingdom, creating over 2,200 jobs for British workers.
और ये जो ऐसी नेगोशिएशन मैं पहले बहुत की है, पर ये जो अभी हमने किया है ये बहुत ही बड़ा होगा, क्योंकि ब्रिटिश लोगों को और संसार को ये जानेंगे कि ब्रिटेन इज ओपन फॉर बिजनेस, व्यापार के लिए खुला है। और ये ब्रिटिश लोगों के लिए भी बहुत अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि ये 6 बिलियन पाउंड्स के 6 बिलियन पाउंड्स यहाँ पे नहीं पैदा होगा। और यूके और इंडिया ने जो ये साथ काम करने का निर्णय किया है, इससे 2,200 जॉब्स भी पैदा होंगे यहाँ पे।
But of course, as we've discussed this morning, this is not the extent or the limit of our collaboration with India. We have unique bonds of history, of family, and of culture. And we want to strengthen our relationship further so that it is even more ambitious, modern, and focused on the long term, the step up in the relationship that we discussed in the autumn of last year. And that's why, alongside this trade deal, I am delighted that we're building on our partnership by launching our India-UK Vision 2035 strategy, pledging to work more closely on areas such as defence, migration, climate, education and health.
और इस सुबह जब हमने बात की थी कि एक आपस के साथ कोलैबोरेट करेंगे, इससे ये साबित होता है कि हम लोग अपनी इतिहास, फैमिली और संस्कृति को बहुत ही मजबूत बनाना चाहते हैं, और जो मजबूत रहा है। और इसीलिए भविष्य में हम ये दोस्ती, ये रिश्ता स्टेप अप करना चाहते हैं। वो ट्रेड डील बना के और इंडिया और यूके 2035 विजन के आधार में वो जो डिफेंस है, माइग्रेशन है, एजुकेशन है, उस पे ध्यान देके।
We will also build on the fantastic work we already do in technology and innovation, celebrating the one-year anniversary of the landmark technology security initiative and making the most of the opportunities it represents for both of our countries.
और टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन के क्षेत्र में भी अभी पहली एनिवर्सरी मनाया है जो हमने, वो टेक्नोलॉजी इनोवेशन सिक्योरिटी के आधार पे है और ये आगे बढ़ेगा, इसका पूरा विश्वास है.
Work together as we strengthen security, growth and prosperity for working people in both of our nations. So let me now hand over to you to say a few words, and thank you again for your leadership on this.
Thank you.
Sorry.
प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर, फ्रेंड्स, नमस्कार.
Prime Minister Starmer, friends, namaskar, good morning.
सबसे पहले मैं प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर के गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत सत्कार के लिए हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. आज हमारे संबंधों में एक ऐतिहासिक दिवस है. मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि कई वर्षों की मेहनत के बाद आज दोनों देशों के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक एंड ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न हुआ है.
First of all, let me extend my heartfelt gratitude to Prime Minister Starmer for the warm welcome and gracious hospitality. Today marks a historic day in our bilateral relations. I am pleased to note that after many years of hard work, the comprehensive economic and trade agreement between our two countries has been concluded today.
यह समझौता मात्र आर्थिक साझेदारी नहीं, बल्कि साझा समृद्धि की योजना है. एक और भारतीय टेक्सटाइल, फुटवियर, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, सी फूड और इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स को यूके में बेहतर मार्केट एक्सेस मिलेगा. भारत के एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस और प्रोसेस्ड फूड इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके की मार्केट में नए अवसर बनेंगे. भारत के युवाओं, किसानों, मछुआरों और एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए यह समझौता विशेष रूप से लाभकारी सिद्ध होगा. वहीं दूसरी ओर भारत के लोगों और इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके में बने प्रोडक्ट्स जैसे मेडिकल डिवाइसेस और एरोस्पेस पार्ट सुलभ और किफायती दरों पर उपलब्ध हो सकेंगे.
This agreement does not merely pave way for economic partnership, but is also a blueprint for our shared prosperity. On the one hand, Indian textiles, footwear, gems and jewelry, seafood, engineering goods will get better market access in the UK. Indian agricultural products, processed food industry will find new opportunities in UK's market. This agreement will prove especially beneficial for India's youth, farmers, fishermen and MSME sector. On the other hand, people and industries in India will be able to access products made in the UK, such as medical devices and aerospace parts at affordable and attractive prices.
इस समझौते के साथ ही डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन पर भी सहमति बनी है. इसे दोनों के सर्विस सेक्टर, विशेषकर टेक्नोलॉजी और फाइनेंस के उसको एक नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी. ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को गति मिलेगी. कॉस्ट ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस घटेगा और कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस बढ़ेगा. साथ ही यूके की अर्थव्यवस्था को भारतीय स्किल्ड टैलेंट मिलेगा. इन समझौतों से दोनों देशों में निवेश बढ़ेगा और रोजगार के नए अवसर बनेंगे. इतना ही नहीं, दो लोकतांत्रिक देशों और विश्व की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच हुए यह समझौते वैश्विक स्थिरता और समृद्धि को भी बल देंगे.
Along with this agreement, we also have reached a consensus on the Double Contribution Convention. This will inject new energy into the service sectors of both countries, especially in technology and finance. It will promote ease of doing business, reduce from India's skilled talent. These agreements will enhance investments and generate new employment opportunities in both countries. Moreover, as agreements reached between two democracies and two of the world's major economies, they will lend support to global stability and global prosperity.
फ्रेंड्स, अगले दशक में हमारी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को नई गति और ऊर्जा देने के लिए विजन 2035 जारी किया जा रहा है. यह टेक्नोलॉजी, डिफेंस, क्लाइमेट, एजुकेशन और पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्ट के क्षेत्रों में एक मजबूत, भरोसेमंद और महत्वाकांक्षी साझेदारी का रोड मैप बनेगा.
Friends, to give new momentum and energy to our comprehensive strategic partnership in the coming decade, today we are launching our Vision 2035. Vision 2035 is a roadmap that will form the basis of a strong, trustworthy, and ambitious partnership in the fields of technology, defense, climate, education, and people-to-people connect.
डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी में साझेदारी के लिए डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल रोड मैप बनाया गया है. हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी सिक्योरिटी इनिशिएटिव को और मजबूत करने पर काम किया जाएगा. इट इज अवर कमिटमेंट दैट फ्रॉम एआई टू क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स, semiconductors to cyber security, we shall create the future together.
A defense industrial roadmap has also been drawn up for partnership in defense and security. Work will continue on strengthening our technology security initiative. It is our commitment that from AI to critical minerals, from semiconductors to cyber security, we shall create the future together.
फ्रेंड्स, शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में भी दोनों देश मिलकर एक नया चैप्टर लिख रहे हैं. यूके की 6 यूनिवर्सिटीज भारत में कैंपस खोल रही हैं. पिछले हफ्ते ही भारत के गुरुग्राम शहर में साउथ हैम्पटन यूनिवर्सिटी कैंपस का उद्घाटन हुआ है.
Friends, in the field of education too, we are writing a new chapter together. 6 universities of the UK are opening their campuses in India. Just last week, the University of Southampton inaugurated its campus in the city of Gurugram in India.
Friends, पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं. हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है. हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता. Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी.
Friends, we thank the Prime Minister and his government for strong condemnation of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam. We are united in the belief that there is no place for double standards in the fight against terrorism. We also agree that the forces which espouse extremist ideologies should not be allowed to misuse democratic freedoms. Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held to account. Our security agencies will continue to enhance cooperation and coordination on matters such as the extradition of economic offenders.
Friends, इंडो-पैसिफिक में शांति और स्थिरता, यूक्रेन में चल रहे संघर्ष और पश्चिम एशिया की स्थिति पर हम विचार साझा करते रहे हैं। हम जल्द से जल्द शांति और स्थिरता की बहाली का समर्थन करते हैं। सभी देशों की संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता का सम्मान अनिवार्य है। आज के युग की मांग विस्तारवाद नहीं, विकासवाद ही है।
Friends, we have continued to exchange views on peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and the situation in West Asia. We support early restoration of peace and stability. Respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries is essential. Today's era demands development, not expansionism.
Friends, पिछले महीने अहमदाबाद में हुई दुर्घटना में मारे गए लोगों में कई यूके के नागरिक भाई बहन भी थे। उनके परिवार वालों के प्रति हम संवेदनाएं प्रकट करते हैं। यूके में रहने वाले भारतीय मूल के लोग हमारे संबंधों में एक लिविंग ब्रिज का काम करते हैं। They did not just bring curry from India, but also creativity, commitment and character. इनका योगदान सिर्फ यूके की समृद्ध इकोनॉमी तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि यूके के कल्चर, स्पोर्ट्स और पब्लिक सर्विस में भी दिखता है।
Friends, last month in the unfortunate plane crash in Ahmedabad, our sisters and brothers of the UK were among those who lost their lives. I would like to express my deepest condolences to the families of the victims. The people of Indian origin in the UK form a living bridge that connects our two nations. They did not just bring curry from India, but also creativity, commitment, and character. Their immense contributions are not just limited to UK's prosperous economy, but are also visible in UK's culture, sports, and public service.
Friends, जब भारत और यूके मिले और वह भी टेस्ट सीरीज के दौरान, तो क्रिकेट का उल्लेख तो करना ही पड़ता है। फॉर बोथ ऑफ अस, cricket is not just a game, but a passion, and also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building high-scoring सॉलिड पार्टनरशिप। आज संपन्न हुए समझौते और विजन 2035 इसी स्पिरिट को आगे बढ़ाने वाले माइलस्टोन है।
Friends, I would be remiss not to mention cricket when India and the UK are coming together, especially during a test series. For both of us, cricket is not just a game, but a passion. And also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building a high-scoring, solid partnership. The agreements concluded today and Vision 2035 are milestones which advance this very spirit.
प्रधानमंत्री जी, मैं एक बार फिर आपके आतिथ्य सत्कार के लिए आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं आपको भारत यात्रा करने का निमंत्रण भी देता हूं और आशा करता हूं कि हमें शीघ्र ही भारत में आपका स्वागत करने का अवसर मिलेगा। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Prime Minister, I thank you once again for your warm hospitality. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend an equally warm invitation to you to visit India. I am eagerly looking forward to hosting you in India very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
See on your screens the two prime ministers shaking hands after signing the historic trade deal between UK and India. Both the prime ministers spoke a little while ago and both of them raised some pertinent points. We're going to quickly talk about it, but first the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi made some references of cultural ties between the two nations. Interestingly, he mentioned when people came to India, they did not just bring in curry. They brought in creativity, they brought in commitment, they brought in character. He said that cricket is a great metaphor for the partnership that India and UK share. And there may be a swing and a miss sometimes, but we always play with a straight bat for a high-scoring game. So there you see both the Prime Ministers talking about how this deal is going to benefit both the countries. The UK Prime Minister emphasized on a few issues. He was also talking to his electorate. He mentioned the fact that there would be a lot of money that will be put into the pockets of the common Britisher. He mentioned there would be jobs, there would be an increase in the buying capacity. Joining us now is India Today Global's editor Pranay Upadhyay. Pranay, we just heard the two prime ministers speaking and talking from their perspective about this deal. Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, not only mentioned how it is going to benefit in terms of trade, but also mentioned the fact that there is going to be more intelligence sharing. People are not going to be allowed to use democratic freedom for anti-democratic actions. Was he referring to the Khalistanis or those who have been taking asylum in UK and have escaped Indian judicial system many a times, and even economic offenders?
Indeed, Anjali, Prime Minister was certainly referring to the Khalistani element or the fringe elements or the separatist elements, those who have moved to United Kingdom to find a safe haven there. And that's why Prime Minister Narendra Modi indicated and highlighted the fact that, both the security agencies, both the intelligence agencies of the countries, India and United Kingdom, will keep cooperating on that account, because the democracy is not to be misused. The freedoms enshrined in any democratic system need not to be misused, and those who misuse those freedoms need to be held to an account. And that was the important point Prime Minister was referring, because of late we have seen how the Khalistani element tried hitting at the Indian High Commission, tried disrupting the functioning of the Indian High Commission and threatening people there. And India has been mentioning this issue, Anjali, that how it is an important priority for even UK, because this has to do with the social cohesion, this has to do with the social order in UK, and that's why Prime Minister made this point. And not only in terms of the separatist element or the Khalistani element, but also in terms of the economic offenders. We know that for the fact that of late UK has become a safe haven for many economic offenders, not only from India, but for many other countries. And this remains an issue, because when we see the pictures of people like Vijay Mallya and Lalit Modi, partying in London, this is certainly a very frustrating visual for any Indian, for that matter, because India has been raising this issue for quite some time. There has been a extradition process pending in UK, and as far as the case of Vijay Mallya is concerned, it has already been cleared by the courts for the extradition, but it is somehow stuck in some procedural thing at the UK Home Office. So definitely Indian government is pushing for the early extradition of Vijay Mallya and people like Nirav Modi and sort of other Sanjay Bhandari, etc. So this remains an issue as far as the India-UK relation is concerned. But on the other side, you heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi making analogy of cricket to curry and whatnot, and you heard Prime Minister Keir Starmer also mentioning that how both the countries and both the leaders can understand each other very well. This is not only in terms of metaphorical terms, but this is also in terms of the reality, because the way UK has given out the details that how UK economy is going to get benefited out of this FTA in terms of the job boost, in terms of the greater market access, in terms of the the economic growth of UK, which is sluggish for some time.
Right, absolutely. Pranay, you pointed out that moment. It was quite interesting, though, when the interpreter was fumbling. The Prime Minister of UK did say that it's not a problem. We understand each other really well. That you are correctly pointing out. It is kind of metaphorical. But joining me now is Surabhi Prasad, who's the economy editor of Business Today, and also Chetan. Thank you very much, both of you. Now you've heard the two Prime Minister detail out a little bit about the FTA. So now I can grill you both. But Chetan, we were talking about automobiles earlier, but my research shows that it is only the super rich who are going to benefit. I'm not buying a Rolls Royce, I'm not buying an Aston Martin, I'm not buying a Jaguar. So how am I going to benefit now?
Well, the final details of the tax regime would shortly be notified, what we understand. But yes, we will be expecting, government will be allowing cars for common man also under this route through different mechanisms as well. Because remember, this is a whole fine print that the government, both the prime ministers have announced. But yes, we will have to wait and watch the fine details and the final prints that will be coming along with it. But yes, the big news that's actually coming in for our viewers is that this is very big news for the farmers as far as the trade deal is concerned, because the government has protected its dairy sector and agri sector, which is a big sign to the United States as well that India is not going to open up its farmer sector, the dairy products, and of course the agri products to US as well, which means it has not opened to England as well. So clearly, big news coming in for businesses to go global as well. We'll see a simplified customs and a single window clearance ease UK market entry. We will see Indian firms receiving equal treatment in goods, services and procurement, which will definitely boost ease of doing business globally for Indians as well.
Absolutely. Surabhi, let's talk about the economy. It has been a hard sell for Keir Starmer in his country because opposition was targeting him, saying that this is going to impact their people. But today he said that about £2 billion in wages will be put into the workers' pockets. But if we talk about India, we didn't really get a number there, how it's going to impact us. But can you explain to us, Indian economy, how is it going to benefit, and the people who are contributing into this economy, how are they going to benefit?
So it's a really big deal, and it's one of the biggest deals India has ever signed. And especially, at a time when there's so much global turmoil going on in terms of, US tariffs, and, that's one market where there's so much uncertainty. For India to actually finish this deal with the UK is a very big thing, especially because these negotiations have been going on for several years. And if you recall, so every Diwali, there was an expectation that this deal would be signed. So for India too, it's a really big deal, and it's going to really help the Indian industry and Indian people. The UK gets access to a lot of India's markets, which, since it's left the EU, it's been difficult for them. For India, with more investments coming in, I think already 6 to 7 British companies have already announced plans to invest in India. It's going to lead to more jobs, and also with, more exports from India to the UK in labor-intensive sectors, whether it's apparel, textiles, MSMEs. That's also going to create a lot of jobs for India. So I think it's a great move by both India and UK to quickly clinch this deal.
Surabhi, do you think the fact that America is playing such hardball currently with almost every country right now, could that have expedited this deal, which was stuck for too long? Because you're right, we've been talking about this deal, imminent deal, for a very long time. But suddenly, in the middle of the tariff wars, this deal comes through.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So if you see every country across the world, they're trying to right now, make these bilateral deals or, these three-way deals so that they are able to protect their own industry and their own exporters. So even if you look at India, India's already working on a trade deal with the EU, the negotiations going on with New Zealand. We are also talking to countries including Peru and Chile. And, these are all trade deals we're trying to do so that, we are able to protect our own markets, our own exports. And exports, while it's still a small part of our domestic, GDP story, but it gives jobs to millions of people across India in sectors from MSMEs to, even the farm sector and larger industries, of course.
Absolutely. Chetan, also Prime Minister mentioned how different sectors are going to benefit as far as India is concerned. But if we do, we will of course wait for what the deal actually holds. But there is pharma sector which again is seeing a lot of push from US. They're trying to stop the Indian pharma sector from really expanding in their country. But here we see that in these points, UK has been a little liberal. You know, you would have expected a same kind of a response, but UK has given up. So this has been a big win for India in certain sectors. Can you list those sectors?
Yes, well, absolutely. You know, you correctly pointed out that as far as the US and the pharma sector deal is concerned, India has a much more of a bit of advantage for certain medical devices like X-ray machines, stethoscopes, CT scanners are concerned. But to list out certain sectors where, you know, India really wins, because when we see pre-FTA duty range from UK, India had a pre-agreement of about 70% tax in processed food sector. That has become to zero. As far as transport and auto sector is concerned, you were pointing out there was about 18% tax that was imposed on cars. That becomes to zero. Electrical machinery, healthcare, glass, ceramics, textiles, clothing. Even in fact, if you recall the previous conversation, we were discussing very big about clothing and what kind of, you know, advantages India has. So now India would be having a 0% tax regime as far as this sector is concerned. Wood, paper, base metals, mechanical machinery, which attract up to 8 to 10% of tax, now becomes officially zero. Minerals, chemicals, plastic, rubber, instrument clocks, gems and jewelry, which were in the range of about 4 to 8%, have now become zero. Arms and ammunition, furniture and sports goods have also become zero from a range of about 2 to 4%. So clearly, India stands to gain big from these particularly 15 to 20 sectors that I've just listed down, from 70% to 2% of various goods and services that were being taxed very heavily have now become officially zero. So India stands to gain a very big aspect when it comes to acquiring a lot of market share globally. Subsequently, it's bound to increase India's exports, and of course, very big news coming in for MSMEs and other small firms who are rapidly developing and building in tier 2, tier 3 towns. For example, we have chemicals industry, minerals industry, we have sports goods, furniture, who are homegrown brands.
Right.
They now have a complete zero duty-free access to the UK.
Right, and as you rightly pointed out, MSME sector needs all the support that it can get, because it can be a huge contributor to the GDP and economy if given the right push. Let's listen in right now to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said after signing of the deal.
पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता। Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी। डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी में साझेदारी के लिए डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल रोड मैप बनाया गया है। हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी सिक्योरिटी इनिशिएटिव को और मजबूत करने पर काम किया जाएगा। It is our commitment that from AI to critical minerals, semiconductors to cyber security, we shall create the future together.
So Chetan Bhutani and Surabhi Prasad of Business Today are continuing to stay with us. And Chetan, I'm going to come to you because one important point that was brought up is related to economic fugitives, economic offenders. There are declared economic offenders that are sitting in UK, and they have used the laws of UK and sometimes even cited conditions in Indian jails to escape any sort of an extradition and to be brought to justice in India. So how is this, although it was only done in one line, Prime Minister mentioned only one line about that, but how is this going to benefit India in terms of extradition of those offenders?
Well, it's a very strong statement and an indication to the offenders who are using the UK law. The Prime Minister in the United Kingdom giving a very upfront statement that economic offenders, and of course, we are also mentioning about the Pahalgam incident, economic offenders will not be spared. India would do everything under its law and order situation and do multiple cooperative agreements with different nations to get those economic offenders back. Remember, we have 3 to 4 big names coming out who have done multiple thousands of crores of bank scams in the country and have eventually run away, and they are due to face courts in India. But yes, a very strong statement from the Prime Minister in the UK giving out an upfront message that economic offenders will not be spared.
Okay. That's an important aspect, because that is one call that has been coming from all quarters of country, especially politically. Surbhi, talking about the economy, if we try and understand this trade deal a little more in depth from whatever we know right now, what would you say, is Britain the country which is benefiting more, or India benefiting more?
I think right now we can say that it's a win-win, or both are benefiting equally. For India, it means that it has an assured market in the UK and its exports. Well, the UK is not as big an export market as the US, obviously, but it means it has greater market access in the UK. It has assured markets. Issues like, social security, which had been a key sticking point and which is going to lead to higher repatriations to India, that has been sorted out. There's going to be more mobility of workers and obviously more job creation. So all this is going to really add up for the Indian economy. For the consumers, it's a good thing for India, because from things you could buy abroad like chocolates, cosmetics, cars, scotch, all that is going to be much cheaper in India. Although it's going to be over the tariffs will be reduced according to a predetermined timeline of anywhere from 5 to 10 years. We must keep that in mind. For the UK as well, I think it's going to be equally beneficial. They have a much wider market, given India's market and population size. And I think since coming out of the EU, the UK had been facing problems in terms of imports, exports, trade. Its economy had been facing problems. So getting this trade deal with India is going to be equally sweet for them as well.
Right. Do stay on with us, both of you. Let's listen into what exactly Prime Minister Modi said about different aspects of this trade deal.
इंडो-पैसिफिक में शांति और स्थिरता, यूक्रेन में चल रहे संघर्ष और पश्चिम एशिया की स्थिति पर हम विचार साझा करते रहे हैं। हम जल्द से जल्द शांति और स्थिरता की बहाली का समर्थन करते हैं। सभी देशों की संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता का सम्मान अनिवार्य है। आज के युग की मांग विस्तारवाद नहीं, विकासवाद ही है। मैं प्रधानमंत्री स्टार्मर के गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत सत्कार के लिए हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आज हमारे संबंधों में एक ऐतिहासिक दिवस है। मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि कई वर्षों की मेहनत के बाद आज दोनों देशों के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक एंड ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न हुआ है।
So you just heard the Prime Minister talking about the different aspects of this deal and how is it going to benefit both the countries, and our Business Today correspondents continue to stay with us. With us is Surbhi Prasad and Chetan Bhutani. Chetan, let's look at the different elements of this deal that has been signed between India and UK. Now, we were talking about how automobile industry is going to benefit, how India has protected its dairy sector, which is and agri sector, which is extremely crucial to India, and it is extremely crucial politically as well. But what are the things where the maximum tariff cut has been brought in terms of India receiving that tariff cut and also Britain receiving a tariff cut on their end?
Well, absolutely. Agriculture is one of the most sensitive topics as far as India is concerned. Well, the big news that's coming in is that the UK will offer duty-free access to 95% plus agri-tariff lines, which really means most of the tariffs that India and UK shared for agriculture, UK is going to open up maximum of them. UK is a premium niche market for agri-exports. 20% of 20% of the export increase is scheduled to be happening in the next 3 years when the treaty goes through. It also includes sensitive agri sectors like dairy and edible oils to protect Indian farmers, because we see India is also a net importer of edible oil, as the production in India is very less and India relies heavily on edible oil imports as well. So India has excluded that completely. The dairy sector, of course, is also a very politically sensitive and economically sensitive topic as well for India as well. So that has also been excluded. If I may, tell our viewers about one of the biggest wins in this trade deal is the fact that India will definitely have a big win in the gems and jewelry space, because India currently exports about $941 million of gems and jewelry to the UK, and out of this, 400 million comes from the jewelry alone. So exports in the next 2 to 3 years, this is what government thinks, would double in the next 2 to 3 years. So clearly making a market of about 1,800 to 2,000 million dollars in the times to come. So big win for the gems and jewelry space. As far as the India's electronic sector is concerned, the UK has opened its sectors completely. Zero duty access to the UK for Indian electronics. So UK can do a massive buying in Indian markets for electronic products, and there will be zero duty for UK. So clearly, for homegrown brands who manufacture at a large scale or even at a smaller scale, have a big market open to the entire United Kingdom. So big win for the electronic sector as well.
Right. So we were also discussing how those who wish to either study or work in UK, things are going to be a little bit more eased from now on. But Keir Starmer was facing a lot of political backlash in his own country, saying that Indian workers will get a benefit vis-a-vis the UK workers. But he did clarify that's not going to be so. But in terms of, if we look from the perspective of Indian workers, how is it going to benefit?
So it's going to be a big benefit because, firstly, like we spoke about social security, that's been a key sticking point. Secondly, according to estimates, about 1,800 plus chefs, yoga experts, musicians, and other skilled professionals, they can work in the UK each year. They don't need a fixed office. So even if you don't have an office in the UK, you can go there and work for 24 months in 35 key sectors. So that's going to be a big thing in terms of, short stay visa kind of a thing. Also, there would be access to 36 sectors where there would be no economic test needed for Indian firms and researchers. So this will also help in easier mobility for them. So all this will definitely help. But like I mentioned earlier, sectors of both law and chartered accountancy, they continue to remain outside of this deal.
Right. Joining us now is India Today's London correspondent, Lavina Tandon, as well. Thank you, Lavina. Firstly, if you could tell us a little bit about the excitement that you're seeing amongst the people about PM Modi's visit and also this deal that is being signed between the two nations.
Can I just share the excitement of, if you have asked me, the diaspora?
Please go ahead.
Very quick turnaround. It was a very quick turnaround for the diaspora because this trip has been kept quite hushed for various reasons, security including. But yet there were 700 to 800 people who registered quite quickly, and 15 buses went and from 9 to 10 locations and welcomed him, including dancers, young dancers. I met Bharatanatyam dancers who were doing Ganesh Vandana, Kuchipudi dancers, and the dhol and the whole thing, the whole welcome really in the same, which has become a tradition almost here when Prime Minister Modi comes to London or anywhere abroad. Now, turning to the excitement about FTA, it is very exciting for both the countries. For India, Britain is a huge value market for Britain. India is a huge market, can we say it? And two industries. And so just quickly on the excitement, it has been brewing for a while. This 2035 vision was actually signed off by Boris Johnson with the Indian government, and that is being worked upon. It of course didn't happen in the times of Tories, and it has happened under a Labour government, but the work has been consistently happening and negotiations have been taking place. There is huge excitement within UK as well. It comes at a very opportune time because just this week, in fact yesterday, if I'm right, the new figures for car sales have come through in the UK, and they have gone phenomenally down. It is lowest in a while, and that is thanks to the US tariffs. So at this point, this deal comes as a huge relief because car is the second market after Scotch whisky that is seeing a huge impetus, a huge opportunity in India. Now, apart from Scotch and cars, it's of course machinery and services and all the other stuff. But these are the two industries that are going to give a lot of jobs in the country, which is very much required, and impetus and an economic injection of 4.8 billion in over a period of time, year to year, as we go to 2035. So these are just big numbers. What does that mean to a layperson? So for a layperson like me, who's from India, we get access to our favorite foods and jewelry and gems and footwear, but also in the larger market, because slowly UK has become it's a very diverse country. And as we see the skilled workers as well as the population from India, Pakistan and the subcontinent are in huge numbers here. So can I just quickly add about the topic of what the controversy about the NI being not taken for 3 years from the workers. Can I just add that in the UK, this has been the biggest opposition criticism by the opposition, that it is the jobs of the British workers will be cut by the Indian, and that's a huge problem. And Brexit was one of the reasons why Brexit happened because of that. Right. But can I just add that 17 countries, actually, Britain has similar deals of giving rebate and relief for 3 years in NI with 17 countries. Okay. So the government denies that.
Okay, yeah. So it's not, what you're saying, it's not fair to say that Indian workers are being favored. It is being offered to 17 countries. Do stay on with us. Let's listen to what exactly the two premiers said right after they signed the deal.
पिछले महीने अहमदाबाद में हुई दुर्घटना में मारे गए लोगों में कई यूके के नागरिक भाई बहन भी थे। उनके परिवार वालों के प्रति हम संवेदनाएं प्रकट करते हैं। यूके में रहने वाले भारतीय मूल के लोग हमारे संबंधों में एक लिविंग ब्रिज का काम करते हैं। दे did not just bring curry from India, but also creativity, commitment and character. इनका योगदान सिर्फ यूके की समृद्ध इकोनॉमी तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि यूके के कल्चर, स्पोर्ट्स और पब्लिक सर्विस में भी दिखता है। जब भारत और यूके मिले और वह भी टेस्ट सीरीज के दौरान, तो क्रिकेट का उल्लेख तो करना ही पड़ता है। फॉर बोथ ऑफ अस, क्रिकेट इज नॉट जस्ट अ गेम बट अ पैशन and also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building high-scoring, solid partnership. आज संपन्न हुए समझौते और विजन 2035 इसी स्पिरिट को आगे बढ़ाने वाले माइलस्टोन है।
We will also build on the fantastic work we already do in technology and innovation, celebrating the one-year anniversary of the landmark Technology Security Initiative and making the most of the opportunities it represents for both of our countries. this morning. This is not the extent or the limit of our collaboration with India. We have unique bonds of history, of family and of culture. And
हमारे संबंधों का एक ऐतिहासिक दिन है। आज हम दोनों देश मिलकर के पारस्परिक लाभकारी FTA और डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन इसको संपन्न करने जा रहे हैं। ये अपने आप में भारत और यूके भावी पीढ़ी के लिए एक बहुत मजबूत रास्ता तैयार कर रहा है। व्यापार और उद्योग के क्षेत्र में ये एक नया अध्याय जुड़ रहा है। हमारे किसान, हमारे MSMEs, हमारे युवा, मैं समझता हूं उनके लिए अनेक नए अवसर पैदा हुए। इतना ही नहीं, 21वीं सदी ये टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन सदी है। ऐसे में भारत और यूके के युवा, उसमें भी स्किल्ड युवा, ये मिलकर के एक नए विश्व के निर्माण में बहुत बड़ा योगदान देंगे। 21वीं सदी की टेक्नोलॉजी नित्य नूतन इनोवेशन की अपेक्षा करती है। जब यूके और भारत के स्किल्ड युवा, उनका दिमाग, उनका हुनर जुड़ जाता है तो विश्व के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी विकास की गारंटी प्रोवाइड करता है। इससे रोजगार बढ़ेगा, एक प्रकार से स्किल मोबिलिटी को बल मिलेगा और मैं समझता हूं कि विजन 2035 उसको हमारी जो कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप है उसको नई गति मिलेगी, नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी। एक्सेलेंस, मैं फिर एक बार आपका हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इस शानदार शुरुआत में भारत और यूके की एक भागीदारी को मजबूती देने में आपकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है। मैं आपका बहुत अभिनंदन करता हूं।
Okay, so you just heard Prime Minister Modi speaking while sitting with the UK Prime Minister, and one thing he especially pointed out was the collaboration between the youths of the two countries. He said when the youth of India and the youth of UK will work together, especially the skilled youth, then they will create a brighter future for the whole world. So Prime Minister Modi there speaking with the PM of UK and also addressing the media at large. With this, we're going to take a quick break. We continue to bring you all the latest news updates.
You are watching India Today.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
All eyes on you.
How has he seen it all?
Gotta have some spin, never blending, dripping in, like so clean.
Moto G96 5G.
All eyes on you.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Hi, here are the top headlines presented by Motorola. Supreme Court stays Bombay High Court order in Mumbai blast case. Rahul slams CEC, says Election Commission not doing its job. ED raids Anil Ambani's premises in money laundering case.
are watching India Today.
Welcome back, and there is big breaking news coming in related to the Asia Cup 2025. It seems the decks are now cleared for India-Pakistan match in the Asia Cup. Earlier, there was some issue regarding the participation of India along with Pakistan due to the strained relationship between the two, but the participation was confirmed. But then there was some controversy regarding the meeting that happened today, the AGM in Dhaka, but Indian officials joined it via virtually. And now it is said that the Asia Cup was discussed in that meeting today, and that BCCI is ready to host Asia Cup at a neutral venue. That neutral venue will be decided, and they have signed a deal with England Cricket Board also for 3 venues, but will use only 2 for the Asia Cup. For more on this, I'm joined by Nitin Srivastava. Nitin, do tell us what this means. So, one thing is clear, India and Pakistan will be seen playing together, but at a neutral venue.
There was a meeting of Asian Cricket Council today, and that is called AGM. And you rightly said there was a huge controversy that why the meeting was being called in Dhaka. But of course, BCCI office bearers attended that meeting today. And what I'm learning from my sources is that BCCI is actually ready to host Asia Cup this time. Say why? Because BCCI is host for this year, but this tournament will be organized at a neutral venue, which is most likely UAE. There is actually a deal signed between ECB, which is Emirates Cricket Board, and between BCCI for 3 venues. But what I am learning from my sources is that they'll be using only 2 venues, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Secondly, that there are very higher chances that India and Pakistan will be drawn in same group, which meant that there will be a match between India and Pakistan. Thirdly, which is I think more important to tell our viewers, is that BCCI is also in touch with Indian government for the final approval. So that is the thing as of now. But what I'm understanding from this meeting is that there will be few more rounds of meeting in next couple of days to actually formalize and give us a clear sense what about the schedule of this Asia Cup, because a tentative window which has been given by BCCI is from 7th September to 3rd or 4th week of September. So that is the big thing. If that happens, of course, India will be playing Pakistan at neutral venue in Asia Cup. Today's meeting hinted that it is, decks are actually clear for India-Pakistan game in Asia Cup this time.
Right. Thank you, Nitin, for bringing those details. So one thing is clear for the fans of cricket, India and Pakistan will be facing off at a neutral venue because they will be most likely put in the same group. And now we bring you another breaking news related to cricket, but this time it is regarding the test series that's happening in England. India has received a massive blow. What is confirmed is that Rishabh Pant won't be keeping the wickets in the 4th test. Remember, he's injured, and it is being said that Jurel will be keeping the wickets instead of Pant. But will he still be involved in the Manchester test or not? For that, I'm joined by Rahul Rawat from Manchester. Rahul, what are you hearing? Will Rishabh Pant be part of the test or not?
Well, Anjali, he did not travel with the team in the morning. In fact, the team arrived at the venue at the stadium at around 9:30. And Rishabh checked in just half an hour ago. So, he's there with the team in the dressing room right now. And what officially what has been communicated is that he's not going to be part of this test match, especially as far as the wicket keeping is concerned. But he can bat as per the requirements. So what has been communicated is they have not shared the extent of his injury. It just mentions that Rishabh Pant is injured. But what we've been told is that he has fractured his right foot. And, it is at times they don't want to give an advantage